Afiq bin Ahrul Nisa, metric number AE190052, and I will explain about activity 1, sample 1. So here we have the table of resistor value and the sample. For each alphabet there is different resistor values. As we can see, A is 68.3, F 68.2, I 68.4, Q 68.7, and A is the same, so it is 68.3, H 68, A 68.3, and D 68.5. So here is the table of the frequency of the resistor value. We have frequency of 2 of 68, 9 of 68.1, 1 of 68.2, 2 of 68.3, 1 of 68.4, also 68.5, 9 of 68.6, and 68.7. We have only one frequency, so total of the frequency is 8. So for this table, we have to use in the graph. The blue graph represent the histogram, and the yellow line represent the distribution. As we can see here, the highest frequency is 2. So here 68, we have 2 frequency, and 68.1, we have 0 frequency, and so on. So moving on to the calculation sample, we have mean. We got 68.3, average deviation we have 0.175, and lastly standard deviation we have 0.2236. That's all from sample 1.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. So now we will continue to discuss about the sampling, statistical sampling for sample 2. So here are the sample 2. The alphabet that we choose is Z, I, K, R, I, D, I, N, A, M, I, and lastly is the M alphabets. So each of these alphabet have its own resistor value. So this resistor value we will use in the graph later. So next on the right side we have the frequency tables. So the frequency will according to their own respective classes. So the total of the frequency here is 12, which means that the alphabet used in the sample is 12. So now, we will look into the graph for sample 2. So here are the histogram graph and also the distribution of resistance value. So here are the pattern and the histogram pattern for the sample. So the blue rectangle box is represent the histogram graph, and the orange line represent the distribution of resistance value. And lastly, we have the calculations. So as for the mean, we got 68.2417. For the average deviation D, we got 0.1653. And lastly, for the standard deviation S, we have 0.2087. So that's all for sample 2. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Muhammad Narafi, specifically with metric ID AE190016. So for this next, I will describe about sample 3, which consists of 16 data of sample. So this is the sample that we get. So from the data from the table, we know that for resistance 68 have 3 repeated by 3 times 68.1 once, 68.2 3 times, 68.3 3 times also, 68.4 is twice, 68.5 is 3, but for 68.6, none of it, and 68.7 is 1. So from the table and data that we get, this is the histogram that we can found from the frequency versus resistance. So from the data, we calculate the mean of the sample and get this value. From the mean, we can also get the average deviation, which is 0.1668. And after that, we also can get the standard deviation by square root it, which is the answer is 0.1997. So that's all for sample 3. Thank you.
So for conclusion, we can say that the statistic analysis is very important to collect any data, employ the correct analysis, and effectively present the result of any data. Statistic is a crucial process on how we make our decision based on the data and make prediction. Statistics also allow us to understand a subject more deeply.